What if the character we thought was gone forever was never truly gone? Ty Borden's death in season 14 of Heartland shattered the hearts of millions. But now, whispers are turning into thunder. Fans are holding their breath, eyes glued to every second of the new season 19 trailer. Is Ty really coming back? And if he is, what does it mean for Amy, Lindy, and the entire Heartland family? The truth is deeper than it looks, and what's coming next could change Heartland forever. When Ty Borden died, Heartland changed. The ranch felt quieter, the air heavier, and Amy's eyes carried a sadness that never truly left. For many fans, that moment in season 14 wasn't just the loss of a character, it was the end of an era. Ty wasn't just Amy's husband or Lindy's father, he was the soul of the story, the bridge between past and future, struggle and healing. That's why the sudden spark in the season 19 trailer has sent shockwaves across the fanbase. A glimpse? Just a moment. A flash of Ty standing by a horse, or maybe just Amy's memory. But it was enough to light the fire. People are asking, how could this be possible? Is it a dream? A flashback? A secret that's been buried for years? While CBC hasn't confirmed Graham Wardle's return, the signs are impossible to ignore. The trailer, leaked photos, subtle dialogue hints, all of them point towards something big. And in Heartland, nothing happens without a reason. The writers know the power Ty holds. Bringing him back, even for a short moment, isn't just for shock value. It's about completing an emotional circle that's been left open for too long. Amy has carried the weight of his loss with quiet strength. She stayed strong for Lindy. She continued her work with the horses. She smiled when she needed to. But her grief was never far from the surface. Even in her happiest moments, something was always missing. For a character so deeply rooted in love and connection, Ty's absence was a wound that never healed. Now, in season 19, that wound might finally close. But not in the way anyone expected. Fan theories are everywhere. Some believe Amy will start seeing Ty in visions, her mind finally allowing her to say goodbye. Others think Lindy will ask about her father, triggering a wave of memories. And then there are the hopeful ones, the ones who think maybe, just maybe, Ty never died at all. That somehow, somewhere, there's a twist waiting to unfold. The truth is, the writers have stayed quiet. But the emotions in the trailer, they speak louder than words. One thing is certain, if Ty does return, it won't be random. It will be carefully timed, emotionally charged, and deeply meaningful. Whether he appears in dreams, old footage, or a final heartfelt goodbye, his presence will matter. For Amy, for Lindy, and for every viewer who never stopped missing him. Season 19 isn't just another chapter. It feels like a turning point. A season where ghosts may rise, not to haunt, but to heal. And Ty Borden, whether real or remembered, could be the key to unlocking Amy's future. The season 19 trailer didn't scream its secrets. It whispered them, just enough to catch the eye of those who were truly watching. It starts like any other Heartland season, sweeping shots of the ranch, soft music that feels like home, and familiar faces carrying the weight of new emotions. But then, in a heartbeat, everything shifts. A shadow, a silhouette, a voice. Faint, but unmistakable. That's when fans paused, rewound, and played it again. Could it really be Ty Borden? The moment was brief. So brief that many missed it at first. But not the loyal ones. Not the viewers who've held on since the beginning. They saw what looked like Ty standing near the barn, brushing a horse. The lighting was different. His back was turned. But the stance, the calm energy, it all felt like Ty. Some say it's just reused footage. Others argue it's newly shot. But either way, it sent a jolt through the community. Suddenly, the quiet hope that lived in the background of Heartland fandom was back, louder and more alive than ever. The trailer also focused heavily on Amy, not just her routine with the horses, but her solitude, her silence, her longing. In one scene, she's seen holding something, a photo maybe, or a letter, with tears in her eyes. In another, she walks through the woods alone, her expression unreadable. These moments suggest that Amy is revisiting her past, looking inward, confronting what she's been avoiding for years. That kind of storytelling doesn't happen randomly. It's built with purpose. It's the kind of arc that only makes sense if something, or someone is returning to her heart and mind. There's another theory floating among fans. What if Amy is faced with a decision so important, so life-altering, that her memories of Ty come rushing back? Maybe it's Lindy asking deep questions about the father she barely remembers. Maybe it's a new relationship on the horizon, forcing Amy to reflect on the love she once had. In these emotional crossroads, it wouldn't be unusual for the show to bring Ty back, not in a physical sense, but as a presence, a memory that guides her, a voice in the wind, a vision that gives her the courage to move forward. And then there's the possibility of dreams. Not nightmares, but tender, vivid dreams that blur the line between real and imagined. Dreams where Ty returns not to haunt Amy, but to help her, to give her permission to love again, to heal, to let go without forgetting. In a show like Heartland, where emotions run deep and spiritual moments are treated with respect, a dream could be the perfect vessel for Ty's return. Social media hasn't calmed down since the trailer dropped. Reddit threads, Facebook groups, Instagram pages, all are buzzing with speculation. Fans are comparing scenes, analyzing lighting, even studying the background noises to find clues. One post, which has gone viral, points out that Amy's wardrobe in one trailer scene is the same as the one she wore during a special moment with Ty in season 12. Coincidence? Maybe. But Heartland fans know better. This show doesn't waste details. Even the actors have added fuel to the fire. Graham Wardle hasn't confirmed anything, but in a recent podcast, he hinted that sometimes closure comes when you least expect it. Amber Marshall has stayed quiet, but her recent interviews show an emotional depth when talking about Amy's journey this season. Something is definitely happening behind the scenes, something big. What's most important to remember is that Ty's return, in any form, isn't about rewriting the past. It's about honoring it. It's about giving Amy and the fans a chance to breathe again. To cry, yes, but also to smile. To remember that love, real love, never truly disappears. And in season 19, that message might come to life more powerfully than ever before. Amy Fleming has always been the heart of Heartland, strong, steady, and full of love. But ever since Ty's death in season 14, something inside her has remained frozen. She didn't collapse under the weight of grief, but she never truly let go either. Season after season, we watched her push forward for Lindy, for the ranch, for the family, but the spark that once defined her slowly faded. Now, in season 19, something's changing. The stillness in her eyes is cracking, and at the center of it all is Ty. Grief is not a straight road. It twists, loops, and sometimes returns when you least expect it. Amy's journey has reflected that. She smiled when she had to, buried herself in horse therapy, and stayed grounded for Lindy. But underneath, she was surviving, not living. And now, for the first time in years, it seems like Amy is standing at a crossroads. One path leads forward into something new. The other leads back into memories, love, and the unfinished goodbye that's haunted her since Ty took his last breath. Lindy, now older and more curious, plays a huge role in this shift. As children grow, so do their questions. Lindy no longer just accepts her father's absence. She wants to know more. Who was he? Why did he leave? What did he love? In the trailer, there's a moment where Amy watches Lindy ride a horse alone, her eyes filled with both pride and pain. That one look says everything. Lindy is becoming her father's daughter in so many ways, brave, kind, and deeply connected to animals. And in seeing that, Amy is reminded of the man she lost. It opens wounds, but it also begins the healing, this emotional tug-of-war between the past and the future, memory and reality, is what makes Ty's return, even as a vision or memory, so powerful. It's not about bringing back a character for drama, it's about allowing Amy to feel again, fully and without fear. When Lindy asks about her father, Amy is forced to revisit moments she locked away. Maybe she tells a story, and we see that story unfold. Maybe she finds an old letter or video. Or maybe, in her dreams, she meets Ty in the fields again, quiet and warm like he always was. Imagine the weight of that moment. Not a dramatic scene, not a loud reunion, but a quiet one. Ty doesn't return to change the present. He returns to help Amy let go of the pain she's held in for too long. He tells her, in his calm voice, that it's okay to move forward, that loving again doesn't erase what they had, that Lindy will always carry a part of him, just like Amy does. This kind of emotional closure could transform Amy's entire arc. For seasons, she's been suspended between strength and sorrow. With Ty's presence, even briefly, she could finally step into the next version of herself, not by forgetting him, but by honoring him. That's what makes this season so important. It's not about reversing the past, it's about giving peace to the characters and the fans who never fully healed. There's also a larger message here. Heartland has always been about resilience, through injury, loss, fear, and time. But this season might be the most human yet. It's about the quiet grief we carry and the moments that finally set us free. Ty's return, in whatever form it takes, isn't a twist. It's a gift. A final whisper from the man who changed so many lives, reminding us that love doesn't end. It echoes. And for Lindy, it's more than stories and photos. If she sees a flash of her father, even in a dream, it becomes real to her. She understands not just who he was, but why he mattered so deeply to her mom. It completes her story just as much as Amy's. Season 19 is not about undoing the past. It's about rising from it. Ty's presence could be the final piece, the moment that helps Amy, Lindy, and all of us watching finally breathe again. As season 19 of Heartland unfolds, it becomes clear that this isn't just another chapter. It's the emotional peak the entire series has been building toward. Ty Borden's return, no matter how brief or symbolic, is the storm before the calm. It forces every character, especially Amy, to confront their deepest feelings. This season isn't about resurrecting the past, but finally allowing the past to settle into its rightful place, as a powerful memory that shapes the future, not holds it hostage. Amy has grown stronger through every challenge, but the return of Ty's presence reopens emotional doors she had long shut tight. His reappearance, whether through a dream, a vision, or a memory triggered by Lindy's questions, isn't meant to confuse her or shake her world. It's meant to finally release her. And this release is not just for Amy, it's for the viewers, it's for the ranch. It's for every story that's been told since Ty first arrived at Heartland as a troubled boy who found healing and love in the most unexpected place. We must remember what Ty's journey represented from the very beginning. He wasn't just Amy's love interest. He was the symbol of transformation, a young man with a dark past who found redemption in animals, in the land, and in the people who believed in him. That arc touched millions of hearts because it showed that no matter where you come from, healing is possible. Forgiveness is possible. Love is possible. Now, in season 19, Ty's legacy returns to remind everyone of that lesson one more time. As Amy begins to face her old memories, the story also shifts its focus to the younger generation. Lindy, growing more confident and aware, becomes a reflection of everything Ty stood for. She loves horses, just like her father. She's brave, kind, and quietly observant. And most importantly, she carries an emotional weight far beyond her years. The show begins to explore how Ty's influence continues through Lindy, how a man's essence can live on through his child in subtle glances, quiet strength, and unspoken courage. This transition is where the storytelling in season 19 shines brightest. It's not loud, it's not overly dramatic, it's careful, emotional, and slow-burning. Scenes where Lindy rides her horse alone, listens quietly to Jack's stories, or watches Amy fix a broken fence suddenly take on new meaning. These are not just daily ranch moments. They are windows into a legacy in motion. They remind us that while Ty is gone, what he built remains. There's a particularly heart-wrenching subplot that begins to form midway through the season. Lindy starts collecting stories about her father. She asks Lou, Tim, Jack, even Georgie, what Ty was like. What did he love? What made him laugh? What made him angry? These moments, scattered across the episodes, form a beautiful mosaic of who Ty was. And each answer adds another brushstroke to the image Lindy is painting of her father in her heart. Meanwhile, Amy's internal struggle reaches its peak. She tries to support Lindy's search, but it's not easy. Every question is a wound. Every memory is a risk. And yet, slowly, we see her let go of the fear that remembering Ty might hurt too much. She begins to see it differently. That remembering is also honoring. that sharing Ty's story is not holding on to the past, but passing on a gift. This shift brings Amy back to the center of the emotional storm. One episode in particular shows her finding an old box tucked away in the barn loft. It contains a few of Ty's belongings, a worn-out journal, a faded photo of them together on a trail ride, and a tiny carved horse he once made for her. The moment is quiet. No music swells, no dramatic monologue. Just Amy sitting on the floor of the loft, holding the pieces of a life she once shared. And in that silence, something inside her breaks and heals. Ty's journal becomes a central device in the final arc of the season. Amy reads it, slowly over a series of episodes. His words are simple, sometimes awkward, but filled with love. He wrote about his fears when Lindy was born, about his doubts as a father, about how much he admired Amy's strength. And as Amy reads these entries, we hear Ty's voice, soft, reflective, full of emotion. It's Graham Wardle, lending his voice not to resurrect Ty, but to complete him. These journal entries do more than offer closure. They open new doors. In one entry, Ty writes about wanting to build a sanctuary for wild horses, something he never got the chance to do. This idea plants a seed in Amy's heart. What if she could do it? What if she could honor Ty by finishing what he started? This becomes a powerful subplot that weaves hope into the grief. It gives Amy purpose and the ranch a new future. But not everyone agrees with Amy's decision. Lou, practical as ever, worries about the cost. Tim questions if Amy is emotionally ready. Even Jack, who usually supports Amy without hesitation, seems uncertain. This tension adds realism. It shows that moving on, even when driven by love, isn't easy. It challenges relationships and requires courage. But Amy is determined, not just for Ty, but for Lindy and for herself. As the season moves toward its final episodes, the pieces begin to fall into place. Amy begins plans for the sanctuary. Lindy writes a school report titled My Father's Horses. And Jack finally sits down with Amy for one of the most emotional scenes of the entire series. He tells her a story he's never shared before, about the day Ty first arrived at Heartland, about how broken he was, and how Amy unknowingly saved him. The scene ends with Jack saying, "You saved each other." A quiet reminder that love leaves behind more than pain. It leaves behind light. In the season finale, the sanctuary is not finished, but it's started. A small fenced area, a hand-painted sign with Ty's name, and the first rescued horse brought in by Amy and Lindy. It's not a grand gesture. It's a simple one, but it says everything. That life goes on, that love endures, that even in absence, Ty is still guiding them. And then, in the final minutes of the episode, it happens. Amy dreams. She's walking through a field at dusk. The golden light touches everything. And there, in the distance, stands Ty. He's not a ghost, not a hallucination. He's memory, alive in her heart. They don't speak much, just a few words. He says, "You're doing great." She replies, "I miss you every day." He smiles. "I know, but I never really left." And with that, the dream fades. Amy wakes up with tears in her eyes. But for the first time, they're not tears of pain. They're tears of peace. The next morning, she walks out to the sanctuary with Lindy. They stand together, watching the horses, and the camera slowly pulls back, showing the land, the barn, the family, everything Ty helped build, everything he left behind. And just before the screen fades to black, we hear Ty's voice one last time, soft and steady. Love doesn't end. It changes form, but it never leaves. Final thoughts. Season 19 of Heartland is more than a season. It's a tribute to Ty, to Amy, to every viewer who cried when he died and hoped he'd return. This season doesn't just bring Ty back, it brings closure, healing, and the strength to move forward, in a way that only Heartland can. What did you think of Ty's emotional return? Did it bring the closure you were waiting for? Let us know in the comments. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications for more powerful updates from the world of Heartland. We'll see you again soon.